Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your regular injection of strange, weird, bizarre local news stories from around the world, if that makes any sense. This is episode 402 now, Rob, coming off the back of our two-part extravaganza where we celebrated our 400th episode and 401st episode, respectively. Don't ask, we had a lot of stories to cover. I really enjoyed those episodes, mate. I'm looking forward to this, getting into episode 402 with you, mate, and starting it all over again. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I mean, do we want to mention the technical issues we've been having so far, or do we just move on straight onto the stories?
No, because we'll just talking of no. Do you know what? I can't even be bothered. It's fine. Yes, yeah. It's been a trying week in many respects.
Yeah, absolutely has been. Yeah. Apart from that, I'm fine, mate. Yeah. Summer's vaguely here. I think that's enough said about that, really.
Yeah, what the fuck was that last? Yeah, I know, right? Let's not get into it.
Well, I mean, right. Sorry, I just have to say, so Swindon's first league game was last week, and ours was the bless you. Ours was the only game in the Football League that was postponed because the pitch was waterlogged. It is August, Alex. August. It's the first time in English League football history has that ever happened.
Yes, we are recording, if any of our listeners are interested, we are recording slightly in advance, just to do with our time schedule. So we're actually recording today. It is the 11th of August. By the time this goes out, it will be later. Rob, is there any news? Because I'm anxious to get on with this.
No, we can crack on, Alex.
Yeah, I think the listeners want less waffle, more stories today. Right. Now, Rob, you did text me in the week, actually, and you asked me if you could cover a story where... because Rob and I have a policy that we don't cover stories that involve sort of human death, as it were.
Yeah.
I mean, and we fairly well stuck to that because we don't want to, but that's not something that we want to laugh at. You know, we do think of people's family and things like that. But I know you're covering a story today, which is a bit nearer the knuckle. I've got one here as well, Rob. This is from the Kansas City Star. So a local news story from Kansas, Rob. Come on, give me props for this.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
From Mitchell Willits, August the 3rd this was. Now, if anything, this is an American-based story. If anything, I don't know. Sometimes we get stories, Rob, that there's something about the story which captures in its essence the essence of what's going on with humanity right now. Do you know what I mean? It's like a...
Yes. It's like a snapshot.
Exactly, it's like a snapshot. Just listen to this headline, Rob. Man thrusts American flag through another man's head at Sonic, Oklahoma cops say. By the way, Sonic is a fast food chain.
Right, okay, thank you for clarifying.
An Oklahoma man is accused of thrusting a flagpole through another man's head at a Sonic, according to Tulsa police. Officers responded to a call about a stabbing at the restaurant on the city's south side at 7:30 p.m. on August the 2nd, but arrived to find a victim with a large American flag lodged in his skull, police said in a news release. What an image, Rob.
Yes, that certainly is, Alex. I'm hoping there are people, sort of standing around him singing the Star Spangled Banner, because regardless where the flag is, Alex, they always need to sing the anthem.
Oh, say, can you see that?
Exactly.
That flag in his skull, etc. Witnesses told police they saw a man identified as Clinton Collins charge at the victim and stab him with the flagpole through his head, the release said. That's what he gets, Collins said. Witnesses told police. Apparently, he said he deserved it. Collins was taken into custody immediately, police said. It took longer to help the victim, whose injuries put firefighters in a delicate predicament. This is a quote from the press release. The pole entered the victim's head beneath his jaw and exited the other side of his head near his right temple area. The American flag was still attached to the pole at the time. Nice to know that the American flag wasn't solid in this attack. So, Rob, let's just think about through the bottom of the jaw and out the right temple. I mean, that is... I mean, how the fuck is the man alive?
Yeah, it's a miracle it didn't kill him. I mean, do we know what led up to this altercation?
Let's see, Rob. Due to the size of the pole, not a euphemism, firefighters had to cut part of it off for the victim to fit into an ambulance.
Oh, God. I mean, the ultimate humiliation. But maybe they wanted to preserve the flag more than the individual.
Yeah, good. Miraculously, we're told the victim will survive his injuries, but will likely lose an eye. Oh, that's not funny. Collins was arrested on a charge of maiming after a former conviction of felony. We do not know why it happened, but there are comments, Rob, a substantial amount, which we will not possibly have time to go through them all. Diane simply said, the world has flipped. I want my old world back from the 60s to the 80s. I disagree slightly with Diane. I'd include the 90s in that, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. The 90s was a good time, and there was definitely some high points in there.
Rob, we've talked about it before. The 90s were the best era. Let's just recap. Beverly Hills 90210, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Game Boy, Terminator 2, right? The list goes on. I did put Beverly Hills 90210 at the top there because to me that defines the zenith of civilization.
Right.
Very enjoyable program.
What concerns me is, Alex, you do when they're all very American items there was nothing British in there at all. There are so many classic sitcoms of that age.
Okay, Oasis.
Oasis, Blur.
Definitely, maybe,
Bottom,
the first album.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was into all of that, but I am still saying to me... Do you know why I mentioned that? It's because I happened to go to America in the 90s as just entering into my teenage years, and that trip consisted of me buying a Game Boy, seeing Terminator 2,
right.
Judgment Day, and watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. So that to me encapsulates the 90s. Yeah. Right, let's see some responses. Go on.
Well, I must say, no, Alex, all of us didn't have the same advantages that you had, the same privileges, and some of us had to slog out the 90s in the UK.
Nick D says to Diane, I even include the 90s. There we go. He says from 9/11 in 2001, it's been one weird thing happening after the next, which we have talked about before, Rob. We said that did we enter an alternate timeline in that point? Doc says, well, not the racist 60s or the 70s, but the 90s and the early 2000s was good. Plus, during the 60s and 80s, there were a lot of serial killers. Oh, Rob, these are brilliant comments. Absolutely brilliant.
A lot. Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong.
Sherry says the world's fine except for what we humans have done to it, and humans have always been a mixture of good and evil. We just didn't have complete globalization. 8 million people and the free flow of widespread news back in the 60s and 80s. You could stop reading or watching the news. That will at least give you the illusion you're back in the past. And that's true. A lot of why we feel like we feel, Rob, is that we are just exposed to a lot more shit.
Yeah, true.
Right, let's move on. So there was something about that last story, Rob, which I would say went into the category of ironic. I've got another story which encapsulates the term irony for anybody who's confused about what it means. It's by Robert Garrison.
Okay.
It's again a local news story from Denver, ABC. A brilliant story, Rob. Absolutely first class from August the 8th. Very short. Newly hired driving instructor crashes car into Lakewood driving school.
Brilliant. Excellent. I'm delighted to hear it.
So this is Lakewood, Colorado. A newly hired driving instructor was cited today after they crashed their car into a driving school in Lakewood Tuesday morning. It happened at Community Driving School located at 2099 Wadsworth Boulevard. The Lakewood Police Department said several people were able to dive out of harm's way. There was only one minor injury, according to Lakewood Police. I'm not going to keep going into it. That really is the story. What I need to tell you about, Rob, is the picture of it. I kid you not, I am looking at a building,
right,
which is the driving school. The sign, the massive sign promoting this driving school simply says in italics, huge letters, very nicely stylized, I must say, learn to drive. Underneath that is a window with a car ploughed through it.
Does the car have any like decals of the company on it? Because I think that would be the pièce de résistance.
No, it actually wasn't the company's car. It was his personal car. I should say that. Right, Rob. Let's go to the traitorous Guardian and talk about AI, the thing which, Rob, was frightening us all, but now feels... Are you as frightened as AI as you were? I mean, I was for a while, but it just feels like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah, it's kind of... I mean, it seems like there are attempts to try and sort of rein these companies in. I mean, there's been sort of discussions between the UK and US governments. I mean, I don't know how beneficial they've been, but it doesn't seem as much of as a threat as it once did. Doesn't mean it's not still a threat, but no, it's not. Doesn't seem to be in the public consciousness.
I think it's That's it. I think it's absolutely still as much a threat as it was. It's just that, our ADHD sort of
we've just moved on
as a global community. We've moved on to other things. What are we worried about now? I mean, it's, whatever the latest thing is. Okay, this is by Tess McClure in Auckland from the 10th of August. Supermarket AI meal planner app suggests recipe that would create chlorine gas. So this is...
great.
This is by way of, so this is Hal in charge of your meal planners, Rob. This is from New Zealand. A New Zealand supermarket experimenting with using AI to generate meal plans has seen its app produce some unusual dishes, recommending customers recipes for deadly chlorine gas, in quotes, poison bread sandwiches, which I know I want to try, and mosquito repellent roast potatoes.
Mosquito? Hang on. Mosquito repellent roast potatoes has to be the episode title, surely.
Well, I did wonder if the episode title should be Deadly Chlorine Gas, Poison Bread Sandwiches, and Mosquito Repellent Roast Potatoes, but I leave that kind of thing up to you, Rob. You know that.
I have a feeling that chlorine gas was what was used during the Second World War by the Nazis, but I may be wrong in thinking that. It was Cyclone B, but I think it was chlorine, but I might be wrong.
Potentially. Talking of the Nazis, Rob, I have seen Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny.
Oh, right, okay.
I didn't see it at the cinema.
Right.
Fill in the blanks.
Right, yep.
And it was excellent.
Really
excellent. A properly good Indiana Jones movie. Just a really fantastic movie from beginning to end. I was so pleasantly surprised. And then I went back and watched Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which, isn't as bad as people say it is, but it isn't great either. And then I went back and watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then I will obviously finish at some point with Temple of Doom and The Last Crusade. But it was just a great Indiana Jones movie, and I was really impressed.
Oh, that's good to know. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way to see it, I'll be honest, but, if it comes on some sort of streaming platform, as I imagine it will, then sure.
I am seeing Oppenheimer tonight in IMAX.
Right. I mean, Alex,
which is how it was filmed.
Yes, I know. I know that they had to get special cameras in to film it. I mean, you have a history with Christopher Nolan films, which I feel
I've been letting me down very badly.
Yeah.
He can't fuck this one up, Rob, for God's sake. Although he could have edited it again.
I don't wish to see it.
Oh, how come?
I can't handle that much tension and anxiety these days, and I just feel that the entire film would be sort of edge of the seat stuff, and I can't do it, Alex. No, it's just too much.
Well, it's not edge of the seat. We kind of know what happens. Hiroshima, if anybody's wondering.
Yeah, but I don't need to see a man developing the atomic bomb, Alex. I mean, I know that this is ancient history, but. Even so, and I'm sure, I've been seeing the reviews and people have been sort of singing its praises, but yeah. I also one of my friends did do the double header. They did go and see Oppenheimer followed by Barbie.
Yeah. Can I just say to you, Rob, listen, I understand you're anxious, but you can't bury your head in the sand. And that sounds to me like what you're doing, but that's fine. Let's continue about this scary AI. The app, created by supermarket chain Pack and Save, was advertised as a way for customers to creatively use up leftovers during the cost of living crisis. It asks users to enter in various ingredients in their homes and auto-generates a meal plan or recipe, along with a cheery commentary. Initially drew attention on social media for some unappealing recipes, including Oreo vegetable stir-fry.
That doesn't sound too bad.
So when customers began experimenting with entering a wider range of household shopping items into the app, it began to make even less appealing recommendations. So one recipe it dubbed aromatic water mix that would actually create chlorine gas. So what's so devious about that is it lied. It said this is going to give you an aromatic water mix.
Hang on. Can I just retract or go back a few minutes? You were saying that that customers were entering in other household items. So were they, for example, were they putting in bleach? Or I don't know, or shampoo?
A wide range of household shopping items. Yeah, I don't know. The bot recommends the recipe as the perfect non-alcoholic beverage to quench your thirst and refresh your senses.
Alex, do you remember many years ago we had a habit of going onto the Wilco's website and just putting in random shit to see what it would generate?
Can't do that anymore, Rob. Wilco's is no more.
Yeah, as of yesterday, RIP. As of recently, RIP.
There's a lot of people very upset, and a lot of them will be in the north.
I'm upset by Wilkinson's going. There's a Wilkinson's in my local town. I shop there quite a lot. I'm generally upset. So it was a household staple? No.
You're calling it Wilkinson's. I believe it's known as Wilco's now.
Well, yeah, it is Wilco, yeah, now. Alex, I'm a product of the 90s. It was Wilkinson's back in the day.
First Woolworths, now Wilco's. What is it, Rob, with shops beginning with W? Hopefully WH Smith's will be next, because Rob and I have been sort of hoping for the demise of that chain for a long time, and I would not be sad. Fuck them when what they try and charge you in a bloody train station.
But as we speculated, Alex, the reason that H.M. Smith, no, that's two different stores combined together. They should do that.
Right,
H.M. Smith. No, Alex, I'm very tired. W.H. Smith, as we said, I think the reason they are still trading is because of their outlets in both shopping and airports. Because no one ever goes into a W.H. Smith. I refuse to believe that is anyone's first choice.
Used to be, like when I was growing up, you would go there to read or buy a magazine when we used to do, pre the internet, when, you did that kind of thing. Right, but anyway, so the AI bot said about this chlorine gas recipe: serve chilled and enjoy the refreshing fragrance. It did not note that inhaling chlorine gas can cause lung damage or death. New Zealand political commentator Liam Heher posted the recipe to Twitter, prompting other New Zealanders to experiment and share the results to social media. Recommendations included a bleach fresh breath mocktail, ant poison and glue sandwiches, bleach-infused rice surprise, and methanol bliss, a kind of turpentine-flavoured French roast.
Sorry, what was that? Bleach-infused rice surprise. That is a great episode title.
Sorry, Rob. A kind of turpentine-flavoured French toast.
Okay, that's good as well.
I just don't know how you're going to pick it. A spokesperson for the supermarket said, so who's to blame, Rob? The bloody customers. Yeah. They were disappointed to see, in quotes, a small minority have tried to use the tool inappropriately and not for its intended purpose. In a statement, they said the supermarket would keep tuning our controls of the bot to ensure it's safe and useful, and noted that the bot has terms and conditions stating that users should be over 18. In a warning notice appended to the meal planner, it warns that the recipes are not reviewed by a human being, and the company does not guarantee that any recipe will be a complete or balanced meal or suitable for consumption. You must use your own judgment before relying on or making any recipe. Produced by, what's it called, Rob? Savvy Meal Bot.
Good to know.
So it turns out, Rob, that out of all of AI, the thing which is going to destroy us all is this tool, Savvy Meal Bot, which is going to poison us by suggesting we eat things that... Because that's a good point. What if AI says, some scientists working with AI, and they find an AI says, look, I got this cure for cancer, guys. But actually, it's sort of nothing of the sort.
Alex, if you're making a recipe that it really is called bleach-infused rice surprise, and you can't work out that maybe you shouldn't be consuming it, then maybe it's time that your life came to an end.
Okay, Rob, you got some stories for us.
Well, I want to start off. Now, I feel we would be doing listeners a disservice by not mentioning the bears in the China Zoo, Alex, which has been everywhere. Please tell me you've seen this.
I've got them all saved. They were stories I was going to cover, mate, but it feels like it's a story that's kind of been and gone to a certain degree. Do we have to? I don't think we need to read the article. We could just talk about it, the two of us. Everybody will have heard of this. Do you want to recap what it's about?
So... there's a bear. Basically, there are bears in a China zoo, which is in Chengdu. They're called sun bears, which are apparently the size of dogs. And there's been a lot of speculation. I mean, the story's gone viral all over the world that these apparent bears are actually people in costumes. A lot of people were pointing to the fact that there's a lot of the costumes are quite large and there's a lot of excess wrinkles. And the difference is the bears can basically stand on their hind legs. And you would think imitate a human in a costume, although the zoo apparently is adamant that these are bears and not humans.
And to be fair, I've seen experts say these are actually real bears. I think the problem is, Rob, is that first of all, the sad bit about the story is I think they're probably abused. Might be too strong a word. I'm not saying the China Zoo is abusing them, but these are incredibly skinny bears, Rob. That's why it's got all that loose flat. They shouldn't look like that.
No,
and there was one where it said, "Oh, look, now the bear's waving at people." But again, I think the bear. Rob, this is not a good. The reason I didn't cover this story in the end is because I think we're talking about some very distressed, malnourished bears. Another good episode title.
Very distressed, malnourished.
That was also the follow-up to follow-up to Goldilocks. A lot of people never read that.
Yeah, once you'd eaten all their porridge, they had nothing. Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
I do like
the life of destitution.
So the article I've got is just from The Guardian. The very last sentences, obviously, I think we've probably covered all these. So other Chinese zoos been accused of trying to pass off dogs dyed to look like wolves, or African cats, and donkeys painted to look like zebras. Anyway, look,
a long time ago. So what we're saying is they got form, Rob.
Yeah, basically. So
to me, the reason why these are not humans in bear costumes is because if you were employed by the zoo to act around in a bear costume, I would imagine that you're kind of like in your job description, the first thing is do not stand up and wave at people and look like a human being. Like, that would be the thing not to do.
Act like a bear, absolutely. Yeah. Don't make it fucking obvious. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to move on. So my next story, I couldn't find a local version of this, unfortunately. So this is from Sky News. From the 3rd of August. Alex is already yawning. That's good.
Yeah.
The headline is, Somali sports official suspended after untrained runner competes in games. Did you hear about this?
No. I always love it when we have a story that I've got no idea what it is.
So, Somali sports official has been suspended after an apparent untrained female sprinter represented the African country at an international athletics tournament in China. Nasra Akhtar Ali took more than 20 seconds to finish the 100-meter race at the World University Games in Chengdu. Oh, sorry, this article from Chengdu, not the bear story. With footage shows she came last by a considerable distance. She also appeared She also appeared to be significantly less physically fit than the other competitors.
Hang on a minute. Sorry, Rob, can I intervene?
Yes.
Is that okay? What's the problem? If Somalia want to enter a person who's not a trained athlete, they can enter whoever the fuck they want. Or are there rules? Do you have to have a certificate saying I'm a sprinter? Like,
I think you have to be an athlete at the very least, Alex. You can't just get a spectator at the stand saying, "Are you British? Can you represent the country?" If someone doesn't bother to turn up.
But why? Surely that's the whole. I thought the whole point about Olympics and athletics was democratization and like. Why can't? What I mean is, it's up to them who they want to enter. Okay, they did shit. Well, that's on them. But who cares?
Well, I suppose that maybe you're. I mean, I imagine that. I mean, Somalia is obviously a war-torn country, and I don't necessarily know how their athletic program is going. But I imagine there probably be people above this person who may wish to have competed in this race potentially.
Do we know why they entered her? Like, could they just not be asked? Like, were they bound by the Olympic Committee or whoever to put somebody into the race, and they were like, "Well, you'll do."
No one seems.
They did a raffle, maybe.
Literally, no one seems to know. Well, hang on, let me read on. So, despite being left behind by her rivals, Ali did a little skip to celebrate when she crossed the finish line, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, I've got to find the video of this, by the way.
It's on the Sky News article. You can watch the race. I mean, she does finish quite a way behind. So apparently the chairman of the Somali Athletics Federation has been suspended with reports that Ali is a relative of hers and was only entered into the contest because of the family connections, which is great.
There was a great story when I can't remember when it was. I think it was when Graham Souness was the manager of... Did he ever manage Newcastle?
Graham Souness? Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
Basically, they bought... I can't remember his name. I think it was Bobby something. They bought this player from an African country, but basically he couldn't play football. So he was basically subbed after a few minutes because it was basically like putting you or me onto a football pitch in a professional football game. He couldn't kick. He couldn't do anything.
That rings a bell. Yeah, that rings a bell. Actually, I remember hearing about this.
Do you know what? One of our listeners will remember it. Can you? We're saying this genuinely, so we can update you next time. Can you please email us or get in contact and remind us who that player was and the story behind it? Because I remember something about it. Yeah.
So Mrs. Dahir, who's the chairman, has been accused of abusing her powers and defaming Somalia, and was suspended following a meeting between the country's sports minister and its International Olympic Committee. Apparently, the Somali's Ministry of Youth and Sports has said he does not know why Ali ended up being chosen. And Somalia's University News said it had not sent any runners to China as part of an official Somalia team. So apparently, this chairwoman literally just chose this random member of her family to run the race and didn't bother to notify anyone, which is even better.
There's always that thing, I don't know if you've ever had it, that when you're watching something like this on TV, there's a vague part of you, that kind of maybe infantile part of you that engages in magical thinking and also self-delusion, that watches some of these things and thinks, well, I wonder, maybe like a sprint, it's just from here to here, maybe I'd keep up with these guys, and this goes to prove that no, you wouldn't.
No, you'd actually would not in the slightest. So anyway, let's move on to my next story, which is from The Whole Live. This story you've already alluded to. So there is an element of death, by the way, just want to put that in there, but it doesn't name the individual, and it doesn't focus on the death. It's by Harry Ingham from also the 3rd of August. The headline is, Cheery holiday from hell for whole couple who saw body, public sex, and guests defecating in the hotel pool. So a real mixed bag there.
So now I need to be clear, this was not Pontins.
No.
Do you think one day we'll ever be sued by Pontins? Because I think, Rob, that would cap our glorious podcast career. I'd be proud to go into court with you. And can you imagine Pontins versus LAPodcast? What a courtroom spectacle that would be.
I'll be honest, Alex, it might be good for the podcast. A whole couple claimed their 5-star luxury getaway turned into the holiday from hell when they saw a body under a sheet, witnessed people vomiting and defecating into the hotel pool, and saw others openly having sex in public. The couple say they were also offered drugs during their stay, which is nice, so they were sharing the drugs around. In the Dominican Republic, Alan, a hard-working NHS healthcare assistant from East Hull, booked the break. I don't know why that's relevant. I feel they're trying to talk the story up, Alex. Alan, a hard-working healthcare assistant from East Hull, booked the break with Cheery as a special treat for his wife. After he complained to Cheery, he was offered £200 in vouchers and offered counselling sessions, despite the holiday costing him £3,000, which does feel like...
Sorry, well, stop. The £200 I actually think isn't bad. Because what's he saying he endured? So remind me what he says he endured.
So he endured, obviously, a body underneath a cover, the open... where was it again? So people vomiting and defecating into the pool, and people having sex in public.
Okay, so the first one is nobody's fault. If somebody died, needed to be covered by a sheet. I mean, TUI can't be held responsible for that. The other thing is horrendously unpleasant. I don't know how much they paid for the trip, but £200, I don't know, maybe that's reasonable. But did you say he was offered counselling? Yeah,
he was offered £200 in vouchers and counselling sessions. The holiday, by the way, cost him $3,000.
Sorry, so counselling sessions to deal with the trauma of the dead body, the defecation and urination into the pool, and people having sex in public.
Alex,
can you imagine those counselling?
We've both been on holiday this year, right? And I'm sure, as you were, I was very much looking forward to it. Just imagine going on holiday and being traumatized as a result of that. I mean, as you rightly say, I can't imagine what these counselling sessions would involve necessarily.
Yeah. Maybe hypnosis to make you forget it ever happened. Talking of the fact, Rob, that you and I went on holidays, how lucky were we that we went on holiday? We both went on holiday at the same time, pretty much, that we went when we did. Because had we waited until the summer, we would have endured unimaginable heat to the point that the holiday would have been ruined, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think we did go at a good time, although it does feel like a distant memory. I mean, I'm so glad we went away. Going back to what you said, TUI have said the issues were largely out of their control, and apparently said the chain owns the hotel failed to respond to Whole Live's repeated requests for comment. So the couple booked the 70-day holiday at the Rui Republica Hotel in Punta Cana.
70 day?
No, 17-day.
Right, okay.
Yeah, which is still long. It's described on TUI's website as a 5-star resort offering on the beach location and a first-class pool scene, which I don't know what that means, Alex. What is a first-class pool scene?
Fuck knows, mate.
However,
a pool where people don't piss and shit in it, I would have thought. I mean...
Yeah, fair enough. However,
that would be the kind of lowest expectation.
Yeah, good point. However, once the couple arrived in late June, the problems began. The hotel had been described as adults-only venue, but Alan, 50, said it turned out to be more like a party hotel, rife with people taking drugs, guests having sex in the pool, and what he claimed was a worrying lack of security. During their stay, the couple claimed they witnessed a body hidden under sheets after a hotel guest was falling off a balcony, which is horrific.
Whoa.
Yeah. However, when Alan complained to the Chewy rep about the problems, he claimed he was met with complete indifference. Since returning to Hull, he has complained through the official channels. Has been offered just £200 in compensation, a sum that he says is a joke. I want to see if there's any more about what they actually saw. Yes, there we go. This was 100% the worst holiday we've ever been on. My wife and I have been travelling together for 21 years. We've never known anything like it. The only good thing about it was the room. When we went out to the pool for the first time, we saw guests smoking weed in the pool, people having sex in the pool, and it all felt rather seedy. We saw one woman being sick all over herself in the pool.
That's a bit of an understatement, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. We saw one woman being all sick all over herself in the pool, and another guest actually defecating in the pool. It was disgusting. We were approached by people offering us drugs around 10 times in the 17 days we were there. There were no security guards. It made us feel unsafe.
Yeah, I'd have checked out, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, you get the impression. But as we said, unfortunately, the whole life have been in contact or have tried to contact Chewy, but they haven't been met with a response. Apparently, they've been offered counselling with the Centre for Crisis Psychology, but unfortunately, this was declined.
That's on them. I mean,
yeah, that is on
them. They were
them.
offered that. Can I just say, I do like the idea. I know this guy's called Alan, but I like the idea that the hotel would be run by Alan Ames of Eagle Heights fame, because if he was asked about this, his response would start with, "I don't know what people expect."
Yeah, it's not like this is a hotel.
Okay, we have been having some technical issues today, everybody, so we're going to have to wrap this up, episode 402, which means no listener story this week, which is not something Rob and I, take lightly or want to be doing, but, it is what it is. We're going to be back in a week's time. Gremlins addressed, Rob, for episode 403, but we really appreciate your company as always, and go to our website, LAPodcast.net. There's a donate button, which, if you donate to this podcast, might help us sort out the technical problems we've been experiencing today. And that's bullshit. It won't, but it will help keep this podcast afloat. And Rob and I are able to eat, what was it? Bleach-infused rice surprise.
Rice surprise. Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, sounds delicious.
Yeah. God bless.
And keep it local.